Hi, this is Dominic from the Vela Collective. I wanted to do a video today about this custom building bike I'm creating. It's for originally a 6-speed French bike from about 1985, and I wanted to convert it into a 9-speed with STI Shimano shifters and a 9-speed Ultegra, complete Ultegra setup. Because I prefer that sometimes. So converting an old French bike into a 9-speed, a more modern setup is not easy, and I thought, well, I'm sure I'll find some problem along the way. And so I started with the shifters, which you buy from eBay or whatever. It has to be a complete synchronized setup all the way from the 9-speed shifters, 9-speed front derailleur, 9-speed crank, the 9-speed Ultegra rear derailleur, the 9-speed chains, the 9-speed cassette, and the 9-speed chain. And this one is 105 links on this bike. Originally the chain was 115 links, so I had to cut it down to 105, and that fits fine on this. So then I needed new housing here with ferrules. This is all new housing on both sides. And then because this actually was a braze-on mounted setup for this mid-80s bike, I just put these cable stops here, which are adjustable. And so running down to the front derailleur, which I needed a 28.6mm clamp to use this braze-on mounting Ultegra front derailleur. And the problem was the Shimano cranks at that time for Ultegra were Holotech, and Holotech bottom bracket won't fit in this French bottom bracket. This is a square tapered bottom bracket, and the Holotechs are not. And you'll find that all the modern bottom brackets, all the new designs, won't work in a French bottom bracket because the threadings are different and the cups are a different size. So I had to go with something that works, a square taper that fits a square tapered bottom bracket. And this time I found that the Campagnolo Coros, or any of the Campagnolo square tapered fitting cranks, would work. This is a 9-speed, so thankfully Campagnolo were continuing on with their square tapered cranks, so I fitted this. But I found that when I fitted it, it was sitting quite far out from the frame, and this meant that the front derailleur here was quite far in compared to most of the front derailleurs. You set up, we should be sitting on, because I've taken this off already, it's quite loose. It should be sitting on, across the first ring, but it wasn't. And then when I tried to move it across, it would not cross over to the big ring. There wasn't enough throw. And I realised the problem here is this spindle is 116mm and it's too big. Well, it's too wide for this setup. I mean, the chain line's okay. I found the chain line, this works at the back here, but the front, there's just no way this front derailleur was coming over to this big ring. So I checked the Holotech specs, and they were made with 109mm bottom brackets, so 7mm narrower than this 116. So what I've had to do is buy a different spindle, the same Campagnolo make, but narrower, 109mm, which I've done, and I'm going to fit it. I'm going to see if this narrower spindle works, it brings in this crank closer to the frame, and then hopefully you know, I'll be able to get this front derailleur moving across to the big two spindles. The dark one is the longer one, which is the original that's in there, and the silver one is the new one, which is obviously not as wide. The new 109mm spindle in there, replacing the 116, and as you can see, the crank now sits a lot closer to the frame. I mean, it's really quite significant, and I haven't adjusted the front derailleur, but you can see it now sits on top of the first ring, whereas before it was more like, you know, it was sitting more about here, so I needed to trim it just to get it on the first chain ring, so that's much better. Chain line, you know, the chain line looks alright, and I'm going to try moving it onto the second cog, the big one. Not easy on your own when you do it, okay, but let's try it. And there it goes, and I can adjust that now, straighten it out as much as I can and make it work as best I can. But the main thing is that the 109mm spindle now means that this setup works, and I think it's essential if you do have an older French bike, that you have to have a 109mm spindle if you want to use a 9-speed setup, you know, Shimano setup. In this case, it's Ultegra, Dura Ace or Dura Ace cassette work. It has to be Ultegra or any other 105, or as long as it's not Dura Ace, because they have a different setup. Yeah, that's all it was. 109mm did the job. All I need now is a seat post, and then the bike should be on the road, and some tape as well. But you can check out more on my blog at thevelocollector.com, and you actually see the original bike, how it used to look with its 6-speed Campagnolo. It was a bit of a mix setup. It's completely changed now, and maybe it's a better riding bike. So hopefully that helps anyone who's thinking of customizing their older bike. There are always problems along the way, and in this case it was the spindle. Cheers.